Hi, my name's Christy and this is Lazy Owl's booktube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of The Priory of the Orange Tree, which is by Samantha Shannon. So this one I picked up from my library. The reason that I got hold of this one is because I've seen a lot of chatter and a lot of people posting about this particular book, either that they've purchased it or that they're reading or have read. I went into this book fairly unhindered by other opinions. I hadn't seen any specific reviews yet. I didn't know too much about it other than the fact that it has a dragon on the front, which I must admit is what drew me in. I love fantasy, and this one I would have to say I probably did get for the cover, so I am one who will do that on occasion. So I'll just jump right into it and we'll talk a little bit about this book. As always, if you enjoy this particular video, please like and subscribe, and if you'd like to know when I post videos, please click the bell icon. So firstly, one of the things that I would like to talk about is the fact that on the cover it says deserves to be as big as Game of Thrones. Now that is a pretty full-on thing to say on a particular book, because straight away that makes me have very high expectations of the book, because obviously Game of Thrones is so epic. The way that that particular story is written, or those books rather, the way that they are written is just amazing. George R.R. Martin is amazing, and so when a book cover says something like that, it straight away increases your expectations. So that did annoy me a little bit, having that on the front, because it did kind of colour my opinion of what I thought I was getting into. And I will say straight away that I think that claim is not founded. So I did enjoy this book, but I wouldn't say it's at that same caliber as Game of Thrones. In saying that, don't let that put you off in reading, because it is a really good book. So I will go through a little bit about what this book's about. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I will try and be as generic as possible and not give anything away except for the way that the world works, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea about whether it's a book that you think you might enjoy. So this book has initially had quite a few characters I felt to keep track of. So I took notes for this particular book. I kept notes of the characters and which geographical locations they were in, and I felt this really helped me in keeping track of all the characters. Obviously that kind of helps when you're reading it to be able to follow the story adequately, so I would recommend doing that for this type of book. So in this world there are three main kingdoms. So the first kingdom I'm going to talk about is a kingdom where they worship water dragons and they revere them, and they have dragon riders as well in this particular kingdom. This kingdom has a great fear of something called the red sickness, and so they isolate themselves, and it is actually a crime for anyone to be let into their land for fear of this red sickness. So they are quite isolated, and that's deliberate. The other kingdom that I'll talk about is a kingdom called Virtuedom, and it is ruled by a queen called Sabran. This particular kingdom is ruled by Virtuedom, which is their religion. So they have these virtues that they follow, and their virtues of knighthood and particular values of different knights, and they follow these, and it's their religion that they believe in wholeheartedly, and they fear all dragons. They definitely would not be accepting of the other kingdom where they have the water dragons. And this kingdom is, as I said, ruled by that queen, Queen Sabran, and each queen in this kingdom, as they come along through the generations, their sole purpose, each queen, is to marry and have a daughter of their own. That's their whole purpose. So that's that kingdom. And there's another kingdom who is ruled by the High Western dragons, and they worship those dragons. So there's those three main kingdoms. They're all a little bit, well, particularly the kingdom of Virtudom is quite small-minded. They have very strong beliefs in their religion, and obviously they think that their way is the correct way. Each kingdom is a little bit like that, and they think that their way is the correct way. Throughout these books, there are particular characters that their values and beliefs are challenged, and I felt that sometimes these inner struggles that went on with these particular characters when their belief systems were challenged, it resolved itself a little bit too quickly for my liking. I felt that sometimes with these characters that had lifelong beliefs so ingrained within them, and to be resolved so quickly, I just felt like it wasn't realistic for me, and felt that that could have been touched on a bit more, and we could have seen a little bit more of that internal struggle. I would have liked to see more of that. So that is a bit of a downside I felt to some of the characters within these books and how they were written. But in saying that, I actually really did enjoy this book. And sometimes I think my expectations are a particular way because I read a lot of fantasy series. This particular book appears to be just a standalone book. They neatly tie up the ending. They neatly tie up the storyline at the end. And so for me, I could be wrong, but I think that this is just a standalone. There won't be further novels, although if it gains popularity, quite often they end up continuing a story even though they've really finished it. But for that fact, I really enjoyed this. Sometimes you need something that's standalone and that you're not ready to invest in a full series. And so if you are looking for a fantasy novel that you want to read without having to invest in a lot of books, then this would be a great one to give a go. I would give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Because it was quite good, it didn't wow me enough for it to be a full 5 stars, but it was definitely 4 stars, definitely one that I enjoyed. It's quite a large book. It's roughly 800 pages long, so it is a bit of an investment in terms of that, but I read it in a couple of weeks and I really enjoyed. So if you are looking for a standalone fantasy, give this one a go. If any of you have read this particular book and have your own opinions, I'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe and click the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications for when I post. Thank you for watching.